And you know, the crazy thing is about people not being able to afford the rent payments right now is the fact that renters on average are saving over $900 a month compared to the typical homeowner right now. According to recent research from Realtor.com, as of June of 2025, renters are saving an average of $908 a month by renting instead of owning. And that's in the top 50 metropolitan areas across the country. So deciding to buy a home right now can actually be one of the worst financial decisions that you can make if you're looking to put away extra money each month. According to Realtor.com, they say that the median U.S. rent for July of 2025 is $1,712 per month, which is actually down 2.5% year over year. And while the average monthly mortgage payment does change significantly depending on how much you paid for your house and your interest rate and your down payment and everything like that, according to Redfin, the median monthly mortgage payment at a 6.58% interest rate right now is about $2,600 a month as of the end of August. And that's with a 20% down payment, guys. And we're going by the median sale price of about $435,000. So that is still a crazy amount of money. And you got to come up with 20% down in order to even get a payment that low, which means you need to have like 90 grand at closing. Might as well just call it 100 when you round up to having all the closing costs and title fees and things like that paid for. So you got to spend 100 grand right off the bat out of pocket to have a $2,600 or $2,700 a month mortgage payment right now. Whereas if you're renting that same property, you could be paying $1,700 a month. And even with that massive savings, that $900 or $1,000 a month savings, being a renter, people still can't afford to keep up with the bills. And frankly, neither can a lot of homeowners. That's why you're seeing so many homes for sale right now and nobody buying them. I mean, who wouldn't choose to be saving 40% every single month on their monthly housing payment? That's what people are choosing. They're choosing that 40% savings, and in many cases, about 14% of the time, still can't make the payment. Now, I'm definitely not saying this is the case everywhere and that everybody who's renting is paying less than somebody who's an owner. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you're somebody looking to enter the market right now and you're looking to buy today or rent, that is most certainly the case almost everywhere. Well, there's a little side real estate story here that I want to tell you, because in this story, they talk about a real estate agent in Boca Raton, Florida. Okay, so Florida is like ground zero for the housing crash right now. And this real estate agent in Boca Raton says that he just worked with a couple from New Jersey that moved to Boca, and they were looking at renting and paying about $4,000 per month. But instead, they decided to put a down payment on a home worth $790,000. That was the purchase price, apparently. And they said they felt, based on the appreciation trends in South Florida, that the home could gain $150,000 to $200,000 in equity in the next 5 years. Man, I feel bad for those people. If we pull up the Reventure app here, we can see that home value growth in Boca Raton is already down 3% year over year and is projected to go down another 2.7% year over year by next year, which means that the forecast for Boca isn't looking too good and that prices are projected to continue to fall for the foreseeable future. But yet these people from New Jersey got swindled by a real estate agent telling them that prices are going to continue to go up, guys. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this, but people like that deserve to lose that money because they didn't do the research ahead of time on their own to confirm what they were being told by the local real estate agent. It is up to you, the home buyer, to do your own due diligence, guys. You cannot rely on other people to give you the most accurate information for the largest purchase that you're going to make in your life. And listen to this. According to Lexard Capital Management, the typical homeowner pays nearly $1,800 more per month than renters once you factor in taxes, insurance, maintenance, and a potential HOA or PMI payments included. So they're just looking at the mortgage payment, when you're coming up with that $900 per month difference, they're not factoring in all the additional costs of homeownership, because when you do, that difference now doubles to $1,800 per month difference between being a renter versus an owner today. Strictly from a financial point of view, renting right now is the smart thing to do, guys, because if you're saving $1,800 per month and you actually save that money, like say you can afford to be an owner and you're investing that money right now into gold and silver, Bitcoin, and the stock market, all three of them would be good, not just one. You are making massive gains that you are not going to make as a homeowner right now. Sure, you don't get the advantages of building the home equity and having a more secure place to live. You might have the threat of having to move out, but that might be a sacrifice many people are willing to make if you can build some serious wealth on the side. But the issue, of course, is that a lot of renters just don't do that. A lot of people are renting because they can't afford to be an owner. So a lot of their money just goes towards rent and other bills, and they don't have anything left over to save and invest. That's the most typical scenario. And the other scenario is that people do have the extra money, and because they're renting, they decide to just blow that extra money on all that freedom and extra experiences that they want to have, and they don't save it, and then they end up with nothing later on. And so Redfin just came out with a study recently saying that probably by the time we reach 2030, that housing costs might finally return to normal. Now, what do they mean by normal? Well, they're saying that by normal, by definition, it means that you're able to keep your total housing costs, like your rent or a mortgage, plus any other associated costs, we're talking the taxes, insurance, HOA, to 30% or less of your gross income. Because when we go back to July of 2018 as a reference point, we can see that's roughly where people were at. We were at about 30%. Even if you go all the way back to 2012, it was actually much lower than that. It was around only 18% of people's monthly income was going towards owning a home. And that's because buying a house in 2012 was dirt cheap. And you can see by this graph that it did creep up to around 30%. But ever since the housing market exploded in 2022, that number just skyrocketed to around the 40% mark that we're at right now, or around 38.5%. It's close enough to 40. That is just completely unaffordable. And Redfin says that we're going to get there through a confluence of wages continuing to go up and home prices remaining stagnant. However, I think home prices are going to fall. They might remain stagnant in some areas, but they're already falling in many areas across the country. But I'm also skeptical about the wages actually going up enough for that to happen. Redfin is also assuming that mortgage rates are going to kind of remain where they're at right now, around the 6.5 to 6.7% mark, which is kind of ironic because all the predictions were saying that mortgage rates were supposed to be below 5% by now. But honestly, I think if we continue to stay in this awful spiral that we're in this economy where AI is rapidly replacing many different jobs and the wage growth is not really keeping up with inflation, because obviously inflation is still a problem, and there is high speculation that the Fed is going to cut rates in the middle of September, which is going to make inflation worse. And if we keep perpetuating these cycles like this, there's no way that the incomes are going to catch up to being able to buy a home, guys. And that's just because of inflation. Even if home prices remain relatively flat, when you adjust them for inflation, they will still go up. And because the inflation will be outpacing wage growth, people will essentially never be able to catch up unless they can significantly increase their income, which goes back to the lesson I said at the beginning of this video. If you're somebody having financial troubles, you need to eliminate your debt, stop accumulating more of it, while simultaneously increasing your income and getting out of that debt. If you're able to do that, you're going to be able to put yourself in a secure financial position forever, as long as you maintain it. That's the key. You have to maintain your situation once you get there. You can't go back to old ways and old spending habits once you get there and say, well, it's all finished now, I fixed everything. No, you have to stay in that good situation forever and maintain it and stick with the good saving and investing and budgeting principles that got you there. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, Check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.